obviously the first youth rep to the UN, and it's been about 26 years since the program started. So this is the first question, reflecting on 1999. I guess, what were some of the dominant global and national challenges that shaped your role as the first youth representative to the UN?
Yeah, well, look, it was a completely different world, right? This interview is going to make me feel very old, but uh, we'd just come out of the genocide in Rwanda, the genocide in Yugoslavia and Srebrenica. Um, Bill Clinton was president, Kofi Annan was Secretary General, and so really the world was in a place of kind of global solidarity, I would say, compared to where we are now. It was almost the high watermark of human rights in a sense. The world had been so shocked by these atrocities that you had a Secretary General. So when I was there during the General Assembly, the Secretary General saying, there are limits on sovereignty. It was the kind of birth of the responsibility to protect. I guess the national context for us, as it relates to the youth rep, was that it was all brand new, right? We just got it started. We just got it up off the ground.
But I'm curious how like young people's voices and advocacy looked back in 1999, and what was actually the kind of moment, I guess, that spurred you to take up this role, and yeah, how did you use it as a form of youth advocacy in Australia?
Really, in terms of youth advocacy, it was at a very nascent stage. The World Youth Forum had just happened in Portugal the year before, and one of the recommendations there was that each nation should have a youth representative to the United Nations.
To when you actually went to the UN General Assembly, I guess, was there kind of a defining or unexpected moment when you were actually at the UN that you wanted to share?
Yeah, well, look, I think one that really stands out. Again, this was pre 9/11, right? So it was such a different world. We didn't have mobile phones. The internet had only just started. We didn't have laptops. So it was a wildly different world. But just after I'd arrived, it felt like it was on a Saturday or a Sunday. I'd been there for 36 hours. I didn't have a security pass. I had nothing. The ambassador, Penny Wensley, who was an incredible mentor of mine, incredible ambassador and one of Australia's finest ever diplomats, called me up in my hotel room and said, Andrew, I'm addressing the Security Council. You need to come with me. So I sort of dashed down. She got me into the Security Council. And this was, of course, in 1999 when, as I said earlier, there were atrocities going on in East Timor. And Australia was putting its hand up to lead Interfet, which was this international force to really embody the Secretary General's idea of humanitarian intervention at the time to stop these human rights violations that were going on, a peacekeeping force, if you like it. And it was probably one of the more significant things that Australia has ever done. And so I was there sitting, behind the ambassador as she volunteered for Australia to lead this international sort of peacekeeping force into East Timor. So that was, a really defining moment. And I was just so glad that she included me in that moment at the Security Council.
Hmm. And I suppose reflecting on what you were saying as well with the kind of, I guess, the youth agenda in 1999, when you were saying, youth delegates were considered 40 and things like that. I guess I'm kind of curious, what kind of role do you think that youth representation at the UN should play in shaping future global policies? And yeah, where would you like to see that go in the future?
I think we're doing pretty well, right? I mean, last year we had the Summit on Future Generations, and a really fantastic resolution or declaration that came out of that. Uh, so, I think that's probably the high watermark of not just young people, but thinking about future young people, right? Young people who haven't even been born. And that really did play, I think, a big part in global politics and policies last year. Look, I do think that mantra, that is now so powerful. Nothing about us without us, which of course applies to First Peoples, most minorities, most sectors of society that are discriminated against. I think that is a really powerful philosophy that now is kind of irrefutable. And so I think it's really about ensuring that that mantra plays out. And really, especially with youth policies, I think obviously at a climate level, that's huge. and as we talked about, future generations. But a lot of that plays out in a national context, right? And so I think it's really about how can we convince national governments to be really involving young people in those policies that are going to affect them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess to conclude, kind of bringing it back to yourself, was there kind of something that you wish you knew before stepping into the role, or something that you might have done differently, looking back in hindsight?
Well, like it was very different, as I said back then. It was the first time that the Australian government had a youth rep. I think there were only 6 or 7 youth reps. Do you know how many there are now? I have no
There's
idea.
heaps. I think there's like 180. Last time I
Oh
checked
my
the
God.
WhatsApp group chat, like it's
Wow.
big.
Wow. So there you go, from 6 or 7 to 180. I mean, it's just incredible. And one of the really tricky things, this is with all due respect to the mission, and I'll come to my side of this in a moment, but they just viewed the youth representative position as largely as an internship position, and there was no guarantee that this position would continue. And so one of the things that I found really challenging was carving out a distinct role. Like, what is it that the youth representative should be doing as a member of the Australian mission to the United Nations? And is photocopying the best use of the youth rep's time. And so there was a bit of tension there, I'll be honest. And those that were at the mission at the time will remember that. I mean, I do wish that 21-year-old me had been a little perhaps less brash, and perhaps kinder and more patient with mission staff. But I felt like it was my duty, again, for future youth reps like you, to really carve out a really clear and strong role for the youth rep. And so, at the very least, we've done that. It's extraordinary now that it's been going for 26 years, and the group of people is just extraordinary, and it's become a really incredible alumni group. So I'm really really proud of the program, and it seems to be going from strength to strength.
Amazing. Well, I think that kind of brings us to the close of the more formal questions. Yeah, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I think, yeah, it's definitely shown how much this program has grown and how I think, yeah, youth advocacy in Australia has grown over the last 25 years. And I'm really, really grateful that you guys applied for that 26 years ago so that those of us today could take up that mantle as well. So thank you again, Andrew.
No, thank you. Yeah, and best of luck. Yeah, really look forward to hearing how you go.